you're a solo builder type. I don't know how that works at all in this day and age. Do you wake up and this is what I think. You wake up, you engage like 12 agents that are coding for you. You check in every minute. Figma Make is suggesting new designs for you all the time. That's my prediction.
Not quite, because even though you can create many agents at once, you're still bottlenecked by your ability to review the code. I think that's one of the key benefits of having had technical experience before the AI agents came out, is that I've still watched the code output like a hawk. So I make sure that Claude or Codex or whatever I use during the day doesn't pollute the code base. Because once a code base gets polluted by AI slop, it can be very hard to get it out. Still, another one judgment call I make a lot is around which part of the application am I currently working on. If it's in the front end, I'm definitely a bit more lenient about letting the agent kind of run with it and just push the prod. But if it's in the back end, if it's in the database, I know I need to really, really make sure everything is correct. I've experimented with using background agents for very off the critical path tasks, but often it just ends up being more time to review and fix than is actually beneficial.
Okay, that's actually a really cool specific thing about the front to back end. It really makes a lot of sense, but I haven't thought about it before because I'm just a pathetic product leader. I don't know this hardcore stuff. But it makes me think like, okay, but what happens? You sit down in the morning, you've had a good night's sleep. What happens? Is it like, hey chat GPT, what's our plan? What do you do?
Let's set the story straight. I've probably had a bad night's sleep, as a lot of the time my peak productivity is between like 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And then, waking up with a little bit too little sleep, get back. I love a good cup of coffee, but being a solo founder, I'm pretty cheap. So I literally pour myself an instant coffee, sit down, and I open up Cursor. I played around with the other ideas, but I just keep coming back to Cursor. Something about that workflow works really well for me as a programmer, because it is still code first. They're trying to push the agent first stuff, which I can definitely see the benefit of for some use cases. But it's so important to review what the AI is putting out if you are being serious about the code quality of your product. Usually I just intuitively know what to do, either informed by what I did yesterday. If there was something I didn't finish, I like to finish that, or of course I try to start on a bold new direction. I very often use Claude plan mode in Cursor, so that I can basically give the right context to the agent for the setup, see the plan, and then start building it. Speaking of ChatGPT planning, one thing I do a lot is the advanced voice modes in ChatGPT. I find that incredibly useful, either in the middle of the day, but maybe especially at night when your brain is a little bit fried, and it's much nicer just to talk through a problem.
But I got to ask you there because I think it was you who mentioned it and I tested it, but I don't know if I found the right thing. Like I just pressed the voice thing and I end up in this sphere thing and I can just talk to them. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Because when you have it like that, you can very easily interrupt it. If it starts doing like a long-winded reply, you can just be like, hey, stop it. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, I noticed that they're actually really good at respecting your interruption, sort of, which is so important because it sort of just goes off and just like repeats. Like that's such a good idea, Karsten. Starts everything with that, and I get so annoyed. And it's really funny. I actually did a test with that. I'm working on a new song on my guitar, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get it to help me with the chorus. So I was playing it to it, but it kept interrupting me, saying like, "Oh, that's such a good part. Oh, that's such a good part," and it destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah, it can be a little bit buggy sometimes. It's actually kind of wild. I remember real time really had its moments almost exactly 1 year ago. That's when these real time functions first came out, and then they got really good really fast. But then not that much more has happened. One thing I will say though, even though I use Claude for almost everything else, for advanced voice mode, I think ChatGPT is still light years ahead.
Okay. But it feels so, like for me, it feels so intense to be in the voice mode with it. Like I don't feel I can take the breaks in the conversation that I need. But I felt that after like 10 minutes of using it, I started just caring a lot less about the silence between us. But it's the
Yeah.
human things that are destroying it for me. Like it feels awkward.
It's not perfect. I don't know. I think I was maybe colored by having a few early interactions that were just incredibly good. Maybe just a bit of luck in terms of what I spoke about and the kind of frame of mind I was. So when I launch a voice chat now and it doesn't go the way I want because it starts bugging out or something else, I kind of just cancel it and try again or just come back later because I know it can be good, and so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt.
But how are these interactions? Is it like, oh my God, it's been a long day. Let's review everything. Is that what you say, or what do you say?
Yeah, I still think a lot about context building. So every once in a while, I will ask it to like, hey, who am I and what am I working on? Because that way it's going to read its own memory and upload it into the current conversation context. And then I will potentially say, I have a new cool idea I want to discuss, and talk about the idea. The current one I'm riffing on is letting people publish their home searches online so that other people can apply to join it. Let's say I want to move to San Francisco and start a hacker house. I can start a search in Homey with a budget for a 5-bedroom mansion, and I can then publish it with the intention of creating the best hacker house in SF, and then distribute it on my own social media to have people apply to it, and of course be searchable in like kind of a Homey directory.
But
It's
like
not.
to buy it together, or just like to rent from you later, or whatever.
Yeah, to like they're still gonna source the various houses from Zillow or whatever is best in the Bay Area, but that way they can be multiple people looking at the same time, and they can kind of use Homey as a bit of an application funnel for filling up the house to make sure that you don't have to rent like a 5, 6, or even $10,000 a month mansion by yourself and then find the people. You can kind of front load the risk a little bit.
Wow, that's really innovation stuff, because then you could just throw out a dream in a city saying like, man, if there's a mansion somewhere,
Yeah.
who's interested, and you can like gauge the interest. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Or like a friend's like a friend's apartment in New York City, or if you're just like 2, 3 guys or girls looking to move to a new city together, you can also just use Homey. And if you're looking for like a fourth person to already to fill up the it's actually a massive throwback to my master thesis in 2018 when I used AI to do matchmaking for roommates and then match those roommates with a house. But I think this way blends better what humans are good at and what AI is good at. The last thing I want to say about this is that I don't necessarily think this is going to be a massive moneymaker for Homey. I just think it's going to be a very, very good potentially viral distribution because you can, create some noise around it. And that's
Very
exactly how we
interesting.
got big with Wordware last summer. Was we had a great product, nobody knew about it, and we basically tried 10 different viral stunts. Most of them failed, but you only really need one to work when it comes to a viral stunt.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's so interesting. And like, what I do with ChatGPT is open. Like, I don't use the voice. I use a lot of these, just a different chat for all the chapters in my life, like the insurance status of my life, one chat, the investor round, one chat. And then I
Mm.
just pop into the insurance channel like 3 months later, and I say, okay, where are we? What
Yeah.
was I supposed to do? And the other thing I've been doing there is now I think for Relentlessly we need to partner up with commercialization of research things in the world. So I just asked them, give me the 50 biggest ones, and then I contact some, and then like today I wake up and I just ask it, okay, where are we? Where should I start? Do you
Hmm.
use it like that, or?
Yeah, I think that's a very underrated way to use it to kind of refocus the chat a little bit whenever you're re-entering it. Using ChatGPT projects as well is a great unlock. One I'm not good enough yet at using myself, but at least I have the beginnings of it.
Yeah, I haven't actually heard or tried that. I need to check that out.
But I think that's basically it. Just becomes an easier way to structure the chats you're already saving, because I have so many one-off chats that it's impossible to use the list on the left. But by using projects, you can kind of categorize it a bit more nicely.
Yeah, that's so smart because that has been like the growing issue with ChatGPT. And somebody said one time, I remember that they had a really good analogy. They said that it should be like tabs. Yeah, like tabs instead of like permanent sections
Yeah.
down. But yeah, who knows?
I literally I have one project called Homi for different chats around Homi, and one project literally called Big Chats, which is just like chats that have a lot of context that I don't want to lose. Because I think the memory, honestly, I think the memory worked better before. Now it's like I don't know. It's sometimes it's better, but sometimes it's weaker. But regardless, with AI, I think memory can never can not for a long time beat you as a human telling ChatGPT what to focus on. And so, if you really want to get into it, I think a pretty good idea is to start one chat, consult the memory, and basically build up a context, and chat a bit back and forth, potentially adding some new stuff, and then writing, okay, give me a prompt I can take to a new chat. And then you take that prompt and you start a new chat, and then that's when you actually start discussing the new stuff.
Yeah, because like basically for me, like I don't even understand what ChatGPT remembers. I have to ask it all the time. Like, okay, what do you know about me? What's just in this chat? Like, how does it work? And it doesn't make sense to me that not remembering everything makes sense. Like, isn't that where we're going?
Maybe, but these models are very limited by their total token windows. But more than that, they like some of the big ones now. They talk about this 1 million token window. That's massive. Like it's like so much text you can actually fit in there. But the research also shows that most of the models get a lot more stupid after exceeding the 200,000 token window, which means that if you want to have kind of peak mental sparring capacity from your agent, it's very smart to keep the context window below 200,000. And the easiest way to do that is to kind of clean up the chat and start over sometimes.
Wow, I hadn't
Um,
thought of that because I have this awesome like relentlessly chat now that just goes on forever, but maybe it just becomes stupid.
Yeah, it will. It will be slower and it will be less intelligent. It's like
Yeah.
it's a fact.
But okay, but back to the tooling. So you wake up, you only use Cursor, ChatGPT. Do you have Figma Make in there, or how do you do that stuff?
I tried to do Figma. I have not. Maybe if I paid for Figma, I would be using Figma Make more. But in the end, what I did is actually I paid a design consultant, a student I knew. I literally paid them by the hour to do stuff in Figma for me, and the results have been fantastic. It's so good actually.
Yeah, I
So I'm
saw your
very.
shout out there, by the way. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's okay. So you're like a Cursor ChatGPT man.
Cursor, ChatGPT, increasingly Claude, though, I have to
Okay.
say. Like I've always used Claude mostly on the coding side, but any day now, I think I'm going to switch over to Claude full time and like cancel my ChatGPT subscription. Right now, I guess I have both, but what keeps me in ChatGPT is the memory and the more than anything the advanced voice mode. I literally don't want to switch until Claude gets their stuff together there. I saw they have now on the mobile app you can do something a bit similar, but the interruptions don't work in the same way, and it's more like kind of transcribe, send, and kind of riff back and forth.
Yeah. Those interruptions, like it's so cool how they saw that that would be key because it is key, and that gives just like the model a lot of slack because you can just stop and it stops immediately. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, let's see. I haven't been to Slush. What don't I know?
Let's see, Slush. I've heard about Slush for years, ever since I was a student in Trondheim. All the kind of cool and up and coming startups would go to Slush. Also, all the hopeful ones that hadn't really quite made it yet. Slush, for me, what I've heard about it is it's a playground. It's a place to go and just see, let serendipity kind of guide you through the event. Of course, you want to be somewhat targeted. You want to try and maybe book some meetings, talk to investors. But I think a big part of it, a big part of the value add for a lot of people is literally showing up to different side events and see just who you bump into. Like, and also just have some great experiences. Like being in a startup, of course, it's a grind. It's not necessarily supposed to be super easy. But if you don't take the time to also celebrate some wins and just have a bit of fun, then why are we doing any of this? And Slush is a great time to kind of mix that business with pleasure, so to speak.
Yeah, because you and that was how it was. You were there this year, right?
I was, however, I did not actually buy the tickets. I saved myself those 400 euros for a better hotel, and then I only went to the free side events. And my day was packed. Like, I didn't have any room to do anything else. And in the end, I did go into the conference, but when I was there, I just didn't really feel it. And in the end, I went home and went to more side events, which was much better. But that was also a little bit because I have a broken ankle, and walking around the massive convention floor wasn't that fun or energizing.
Yeah, that's even harder startup grind with the ankle on the conference floor.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you thinking about around Homi right now? What's top of mind?
Right now, I'm raising a pre-seed for Homi, which is a bit of a departure for me because when I started the project this summer, my plan was to just bootstrap it and create a lifestyle business around it. Maybe do a small angel round just to kind of get some stuff going. But the more I've built, the more I've looked into the business case, and the more I've just talked to people and early customers and users. I'm like, this deserves to be something bigger and better. And I don't necessarily want to wait around for organic growth and traction to pick up. I want to kickstart things. I want to hire some people to help me fill out the parts that I'm worse at. And I want to do it now because you gotta make money, and you gotta keep the trajectory upwards. So I've been going a lot back and forth on the numbers. How much do I need? How much do I want? What is a good valuation? In Norwegian, we have a saying called being speed blind, where if you've been driving very fast for a while, and you're suddenly in a slow zone, you don't really notice how fast you're going. That's a little bit my experience from the US, where I was part of a company that raised a $30 million seed round at a $210 million valuation. Personally, I think I'd be happy with even 300K at a $3 million valuation. I think that's a good place to start because it gives you what you need right now without diluting you too much. And you can go into raising a bigger and better round for your actual seeds, 3 to 6 months later.
And what do you have any like product top of mind things?
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and also a lot about like what not to do, because as an engineer, it's so easy to think that just one more feature is what's going to start having the users kind of begging for more. But it's rarely that. If anything, I should take away some stuff. Like in terms of the onboarding has gotten not too complex, but maybe like a little bit too long-winded. And sometimes I've optimized a few things for me. Let's say, when the user signs up, I ask them like, are you currently looking? Are you a broker? Are you a user? This is very relevant for me, but it's actually not that helpful for the user. And at this point, you kind of want to optimize for the user even more than for yourself. The other part I'm thinking about is that instead of necessarily building out more kind of core features of Homi, I'm actually thinking about making some of these viral bets. So I have two I'm thinking about. One was the one I mentioned earlier with letting people publish their collections online, both so they're searchable in the Homi directory, but also so that they're shareable on their own social media. Trying to get people to move with them to a new city, or I don't know, something like that. The other part is something I started building out with Lovable during the Lovable Anthropic Hackathon at Slush. This project is creating a worldwide directory of the coolest skyscrapers. So that if you're moving to a city and you want to live in a skyscraper, you can just go here instead of going to whatever geographically correct listing site is good for that city. You just go to towers.club, go to your city, and you see a list of not all the skyscrapers, but like a curated list of the best residential skyscrapers. And of course, on every one of them, there is going to be a add to your Homie collection or add all these skyscrapers to your Homie collection. So it's kind of like a secondary lead gen almost. And I have lots of ideas for how I can kind of automate the marketing around this by having automatic posts on X and Reddit around skyscraper of the week or of the day.
Wow, that's and that just got me thinking of like an even broader appeal of like this simple fact of people, like whenever I go into the Norwegian marketplace, Finn, it shows me some super high worthy home, right? And it just teases me to click it because I want to know what that looks like. And imagine like having like the massive appeal of just people going and surfing and seeing all the most exclusive homes in the world on this site or something like that. That's interesting, huh?
100%. But it has to be buildings, I think, because individual units, they're too kind of come and go. But a building is going to stick around, and especially buildings that have their own websites. And then you can also do a lot of stuff with automating booking requests for these sites, because you can kind of do it in bulk, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you could have like the most expensive buildings in the or the homes in the whole world could be here with like whatever ad from the last sale. Like it doesn't have to be for sale even. It could be like just like whatever. It's fun to see what it went for in 2014 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. So the point is, I want to, instead of building on more core features, I want to build stuff that facilitates these viral growth loops I'm trying to unlock.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I'm also coding a bunch of what I would say very personalized GTM tools. So right now I'm doing a lot of outreach, both to brokers, but also to content partners. And so I've chosen a CRM. I ended up with Folk.app after considering a lot of the big ones, including Atio. The key thing with Folk is that you can log interactions through the API. So for calling brokers sometimes, basically I just go to Corcoran or Zillow and I open their agents pages. And then I just look at individual agents and they already have their phone and email listed right there. But instead of copying this into the CRM and then manually sending an email, I have like a shortcut for just triggering a flow through my own Chrome extension that takes the HTML, turns it into Markdown, and takes a screenshot of the page, sends both into my own server, runs it through an LLM, extracts structured data that I update my CRM with, and then sends an email programmatically to that person and logs that interaction back to the CRM. And I want to keep building this out so that when I'm on, let's say, Instagram and I've sent a message to a contact there, I can do another keyboard shortcut and it will log it as an interaction in the CRM so that I don't forget that I sent that person a message.
Okay, so you're automating the cold stage of the outreaches.
Yeah, because like the whole point of using a CRM is that you can go there and you can see what should I do next, like who is the time to follow up with. And in order to do that, you need to know the last time you spoke to people. And this CRMs already support this very well with emails, but so much of today, at least in my own search now for investors, brokers, users, it's so many different channels like Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, iMessage. Sometimes I even just want to take a screenshot of like an iMessage conversation and send it to the LLM, and then it can identify who I spoke to and then update the CRM contact. And you can never do that with a normal CRM, but you can do it if you have the LLM in the middle, focus on your own use case.
Yeah, we should sell this to the CRMs. Sounds like a natural development of this.
Potentially. So who knows? If I'm going to make some LinkedIn content around how I do this, and then maybe that'll make me more money than Homie.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it all. Like I made Relentlessly based on me wanting to get a marketing person for my old side project.
Yeah.
So it always just like escalates from whatever you're doing. But yeah, that it sort of makes like interactions with people feel like when you're traveling and have receipts, you screenshot them and like save them. So it feels so good when that can be automated.
Yeah.
Do you have any like you're a solo founder? Do you have any like tricks, or when motivation slips, do you have anything you do, or how does that work for you?
Honestly, I could be better at it. I've been struggling a little bit recently because I have a lot of stuff in Notion where I try to have structured tasks both for development but also for me as a founder. But when I need to quickly capture something, I just by habit reach for my Google Keep account and I just jot it down. Um, but I've been very poor at updating, like moving stuff from Google Keep into Notion. And so now I have this like split in my head where I don't really know where to go to see what to do next. And then I just fall back to doing whatever I feel like doing in the moment. But what really gives motivation for a startup is to see success. So like, I know that for me, in order to see more success, all I really need to do is pick up the phone. Um, but it's tough. There are, life happens. When I'm calling the US, that's usually at night for me. But now that I can finally walk again from my broken ankle, it's very nice to also, hang out with friends at night and be social. Doing fundraising, a lot of times you meet investors at night or different events. So it's tough to get everything to kind of to make time for everything, especially when you're also low on sleep suddenly. But I feel like I'm finally having my head a bit above water again. I think someone told me this the other day, that if ever the startup starts feeling like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, then a very good reframing can just be, I want to do this, and try to remind yourself of like, why do you want to do this? So if I think it's like, I'm thinking a lot, oh, I have to pick up the phone, I have to pick up the phone. What can you do to make you want to pick up the phone? One thing can be a very easy thing, like reframing it in your mind, like, why are you making these calls? Is it to badger people in their workdays? No, it's to share this amazing tool you've built that's going to save them and their clients a lot of time and money. That's like a nice thing to call someone about. I think as well, it's maybe a bit personal, but I also like to think of making, whenever I call these people, I think of it as making a new friend. So it's not like, oh, hey, I'm like faceless person from this company trying to steal your money. It's more like, hey, I'm Kristian from Norway. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I've built something that I think is really cool for real estate brokers like you. And not necessarily try to sell them on the spot, but rather be like, do you mind if I send you an email about it or send you an SMS about it? And then, there you can have the demo and you can have, maybe a slightly longer description. And then if they don't respond to that, then you track it in the CRM, you call them again, and then, you take it from there.
Yeah, that's a really good reframing, because like it's whatever you actually end up doing is actually stuff you feel is so important that you push yourself to do it even if you don't. So
Yeah.
like the motivation is of course there, but it's good to bring it out to the front again. Yeah, that's a smart way of doing it.
Sometimes it's rough, especially if you are running a little bit low on sleep, or if you're like disappointed in yourself for like your own, let's say, performance, or that you've been procrastinating, or maybe you've done something isn't the top priority. The thing is, though, all you can really do is try and just reset with a good night's sleep and try again the next day. So
that's a lot. Like sometimes I just can't look at my list anymore and do the next thing. So like resetting, like for me, a short meditation, or sleep is, you can wake up in a totally different mindset, and it's crazy. And you can attack the day if you give it a bit of air in the moment when you feel it's like the motivation isn't there at all. So
yeah.
and if the motivation isn't there at all, I feel like then like it isn't really that important actually. So you have that time to reset in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people could benefit from just like, if they notice that they are not being productive at all, maybe just take take not a long break necessarily, but like time yourself, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and get started. Another thing, it's easier said than done, but also just trying to break apart the task into like, I have a big task. I need to make Homi into $1 billion company. Okay, what is the smallest possible increment I can do next in order to make that happen? And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely a good tool to reach for.
Yeah, I so agree. And we humans, we love checking it off our list. Like, okay, I will reach out to these 30 companies now, and if I do that, then I feel so happy with myself afterwards. Even though like it might not have been the perfect thing to do, I don't even know, but I could have done more, I could have done less, but it gives me satisfaction, and
yeah,
you need that. But what do you think about um, what don't people know about building alone?
Oh wow. It turns out I also didn't know a lot of things about building alone. I think the key thing that people do know though is that if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. So that's very important to keep in mind for this next thing, which I've had to kind of remind myself of quite a few times in terms of prioritization. You should always prioritize doing things that will work for you while you are not working. So that can be posting to social media. If you do that in the morning, you don't really have to think about it during the rest of the day because it is going to be out there working for you. If you're running ads, you should have that ad campaign in the background. And so I've kind of burnt myself on this quite a few times. It's late at night and I'm like, okay, what's my next task? Launch an ad campaign. And then I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. And then you don't do it tomorrow. And then suddenly you've lost 2 days. Whereas if you just got it started on that first day, then it would have just been in the background. Whereas coding, it's very important to be finished with a feature, but also, nobody cares or knows that the code isn't in production besides you. And so that's a much better thing to wait to deploy until the morning because, what if you actually break the site and then suddenly you have 12 hours of downtime while you're sleeping?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. You're kind of treating your tasks like assets. Like you want assets that earn while you sleep or like wealth.
Yeah.
And I guess Naval said that famous thing about like there's thousands of robots available in data centers, use them, right?
Exactly. So I'm also, as time goes by, I'm also experimenting a lot with the browser agents, which right now I'm still doing things relatively manually because I want to figure out like what is my own algorithm, what is my own workflow for doing various things. Because when I have that unlocked, I'm fairly confident I can program very specific AI agents to actually go and act in my stead. So let's say with Twitter, for instance, I don't particularly like it, but I try to post sometimes, I try to reply a few times. I'm not super successful at it, but what I'm doing is that I'm building up a little repository of my own interactions on Twitter, at least trying to use my own tone of voice and my own, mannerisms. So then in a few weeks from now or tomorrow, we'll see, I can create a browser agent. I can give it the cookie from my own Twitter login session. And I can tell it just like, hey, browse Twitter, like pretend you're me. And, for every kind of 10 tweets you see, analyze which one or two are the most interesting, go in and post a reply, and then keep scrolling. And then when posting the reply, just load up your existing replies as the context, and don't really try to be that crazy with it. Don't try to do 1,000 replies a day. Just try to emulate what you would have done if posting on Twitter and replying on Twitter was the only thing you would have done that day, and try to just replicate that with an AI agent. Sure, it might cost some money. Like it's not going to be free because AI agents, especially the browser agents, are a bit more on the expensive side. But what is your own time worth? You might end up saving yourself, hours and hours of work. And again, you'll have that asset working for you while you sleep.
Yeah, and I just gotta say there, I've like in some ways I just hate the direction this is headed, and I can't like see how this becomes a healthy society of like,
No, that's very true.
right? But still, on the other side of all this, I feel like an old man, because on the other side, like once the agent can share my thoughts like more accurate than I can in my own words,
Yeah.
then like, isn't that still me? Like, who am I? I don't know.
I've found a little bit of peace with that because at least for now, I do. I'm able to discern when I'm happy with what the agent has written and when I'm not happy with what the agent has written. I've done like some accelerator applications recently, and I've used Claude a lot in order to facilitate framing, but I'll be iterating on that stuff a long time until it gets it right. Sometimes I think it would have been even faster just to do it myself from scratch. But what you do get by having that long conversation in Claude is also that you build up context. So that sure, the first one application takes a long time. The second one takes shorter. And the third one, you suddenly now have context from 2 previous applications you can use to then basically rewrite it in the new application format.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like for me, a big difference is, of course, the human in the loop at the end. As long as that's there, that makes it a lot better. But
Yeah.
once it's not, then but I don't even know if we're heading there when it's not.
No, I mean, on Twitter, I think that's definitely where we are heading, because personally, I don't have that much interest in posting on Twitter. And I feel like a lot of times when I do, I don't only get replies from bots there as well. So it's almost just like for show. But the thing with social media is that it is a gradual grind. Like I've been looking and listening to some podcasts from, some of the current, or not the current generation, not the old generation, but like the kind of up and coming generation of content creators. People are talking about posting every day for 6 months straight with, almost no results. And then something happens. And so it's a bit like, doing the lottery. It's like you have a shot every day. If you don't take the shot, you're guaranteed not to get any new followers or any new interactions. And again, I think if you are basing the bot on what your replies are previously, and it's mostly just about in this like reply stage and, just like seeing if anybody's interested in engaging. You can always kind of log in and follow up as a human afterwards. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, Twitter is so hard. I've been posting sometimes, get 0 likes. And I guess it's a meme out there saying like the people who keep on posting with 0 likes, they are the toughest. And I feel it because that's me.
yeah, me too.
But last thing I was going to say, like a huge thing I'm thinking about these days is like, does building, like, I'm thinking, will the future be a lot of solo founder companies, or will every huge thing in the world be built by teams? And of course, Relentlessly is focused around the thought that the biggest things will be teams at some point in that journey to becoming big. But I'm really curious about it. And one constellation I'm thinking about is that like once I get the Neo robot with me to the pub and it has like ChatGPT in its brain and can talk to me there and vent like personally,
Yeah.
because the startup journey is a lot harder than just like the building part of it. Then it might happen, and especially if we have like co-working spaces where I can sit next to you, you're grinding on your thing, I'm grinding on mine, and we're sharing some stuff. We're sharing the co-working space and the coffee machine and whatever. Then I think we can get pretty close, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
That's it's a great question. Starting with the first part, I think some companies where you needed a big team before can now be done solo. And I think you can go fast solo. But as the going says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think that actually rings truer now more than ever. I'm starting Homi alone because I have a unique attachment to this idea. I've been working on it since 2018. I've been iterating on different prototypes, and I've been, I've just built the whole product already. It's already there. It already has users. My aim now is to get a pre-seed going, and then hire a founding team. But I'm not just going to give away, like being a solo founder lets you incentivize the founding team a lot higher. Because if you're, one or two if you have one or two co-founders, then you're looking initially at like a 50 or even like a 33% split, right? And then the investors need to come in, and then maybe some advisors. Usually there's only 10% left to the employees. what I'm doing, what I'm proposing to the investors I'm talking to now is that I want to have 40% for myself. I want to have upwards of 20% for the investors, like over time. And I want to have the remaining 40% for employees. That's a lot more than 10%. And it'll allow me to bring in the founding team with salaries and maybe like a stake of maybe even like 4, 5, 6, 7% for the most important people.
Dude,
One key thing though, one key thing is that instead of having a regular 4-year vesting with a 1-year cliff, I'm going to do a 2-year cliff, which means that the people who are joining early, they will get potentially a lot more equity, but they have to be committed to going the distance for, well, at least 2 years.
that's such an interesting sentence that starting alone can benefit the team more.
Yeah, at least like it'll benefit
Sort of.
the first 1 or 2 a little bit less, but the next 15 maybe a lot more. Yeah.
Dude, that's true. And like solo founders, of course, doesn't mean solo for the whole ride. Maybe the natural stage is like just a bigger chunk to the rest when it's needed, and then you can really speed up because you've nerded on the product, you've come this far. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a very. I haven't met that many other people who think about it like that, but at least it makes a lot of sense to me. But it makes sense for this problem. Like, if let's say I had a regular corporate job and I had been thinking about this product for a while, but I hadn't really done anything about it, and I wanted to start a startup just to start it. Like I'm starting Homie because I need to start it. Like I need to get it out of my brain and into the world. But if it was more like, oh, I just want to do an AI startup and I want to make money and, have that as not a lifestyle, but like have that as your life, then I think finding a co-founder makes a lot of sense because, if you can move fast as one person these days, imagine what you can do with like a team or 2 or 3, each with their own set of AI agents, each posting, each, contributing to the product, talking to users, talking to customers. Because you can have all the agents in the world, but like I said at the beginning of our interview, you're still bottlenecked by your ability to process the output of the AI agents. And if you, start slipping with that, things can get sloppy very fast, and that can be very hard to extricate yourself from, whether it's in code or content or really anything.
Yeah, but and I guess you're like one of the unique like one-stop shop powerhouses. I mean, you come from the coding background like me. The typical like intense product leader with an idea. I often need people on day one because I don't have the skills to make the whole thing. But of course now I can go further with the prototype. But actually I tried to vibe code the first version of Relentlessly and I failed like
Yeah.
6 months ago because it was a bit too complex for the tooling at that time. And it's probably different now. So yeah, but interesting to see.
100%. I think vibe coding has come a long way, but what many people don't realize is that even if you can vibe code something to 80%, 90, even 99% complete, if you don't get it to 100%, consumers and even businesses will struggle to adopt it because the friction over time, even from a 1% off, is going to be too much in today's world when you are used to working with tools that have been built by teams of hundreds of people and designers and engineers and product managers ironing out every little thing. So yeah, but I think vibe coding can be great for doing these supplemental viral marketing stunts, like I talked about earlier. Like you have your main business, but it's all about like kind of shots on goal, So you have your own main business, you have some social media for that, you have a strategy for that. But if you, in addition, can build out more of a viral marketing site that can't really necessarily be a business on its own, but it can maybe be more discoverable. It can be a bit more pinpointed towards a specific problem that maybe more people are searching for. Like with Homie, I'm building a tool that can organize any property search anywhere on the planet. Nobody searches for how can I buy a house anywhere on the planet. What they do search for is like, how can I move to a skyscraper in New York City, or how can I buy a plot of land in Mozambique? That you can create very targeted little websites for, and potentially do place in SEO and social media.
You know what you said there kind of got me on. I feel like that was the answer. Like, um, the vibe coding thing, like, of course, the hype is around like, oh, now there's going to be unicorn solo vibe coded company maybe, but the teams using these new tools to enhance it to like 100.00% quality in every like user experience interaction, every touch point will always be ahead of these vibe coded ninjas that will get it up to X%. But 99 isn't good enough because the 100 is just like so much higher with all these tools. So that's going to be my conclusion as of now.
Yeah. And the closer you get to 100, the harder it gets, and that's when really the let's say negative, like the non-benefits of being a solo founder, really comes into play. Because sure, anyone has time to get to 80% with a vibe coding tool, but if you're a solo founder, and you're trying to make money and make customer phone calls at the same time, it can be very hard to find the time to iron out those last 20%, and you can kind of trick yourself into this loop that you can stay in for a long time, not really getting anywhere.
Dude, that's so interesting. I mean, we have maybe the Pareto principle is dying now, because it's so easy to think like, okay, I'm a solo person. I'm going to use 20% of my energy on the 80% most important thing in the marketing. I'm going to use 20% energy in the investor track. But then like the noise now with all the new projects being out there doing the 20% makes the 20% not enough anymore, because there are teams out there doing more. So yeah, and like the noise these days, give people a weekend off and they come back with a digital store, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like that Matthew McConaughey quote. Is like when he asked his dad, like, "Hey, I want to go to film school." He expected like this long tirade about how, oh, that's really stupid, or like, shouldn't you be a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Instead, his dad just said, "Well, don't half-ass it," and that's kind of like vibe coding lets us half-ass a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean you can't whole-ass something with vibe coding. It's just that is almost like a discipline in itself that not that many people have mastered. And I think personally, being a software engineer to begin with actually lets you whole-ass vibe coding in a completely different way, which is, in my humble opinion, why I've been able to build something as technically complex as Homi in record time. Because I've tried to build projects before solo. You can either go ridiculously slow and then never launch, or you can go fast and then hate your life because you took too many shortcuts. With Homi now, I can honestly say that I've structured the code in such a way that it's just a fucking joy to go in and develop in every day, because I know it. I know where to point the AI in the right direction, and as I said earlier, I know for which parts of the code base I can let the AI be a bit like willy-nilly, because I know it's a bit of a one-off, and I know the building blocks are solid. Whereas when I am touching the building blocks, then I'm very careful not to slop it up.
Dude, is that your term, WholeAss?
I guess it is now. Yeah. No.
If that is your term, I feel that is as powerful as vibe coding term in itself. So now WholeAssing vibe coding.
Yeah.
That is the developer. That is the developer background vibe coding, and I think that's the future. WholeAssing.
WholeAssing, business code, anything.